Welcome back to Master Your Glass with me, Livio Lauro. It is bright, it is refreshing, it is tasty, and it is the Prickly Pear Margarita. Now the version we're gonna make is a little easier and it's a little more refreshing and it's even a little more healthier than the typical version. So let's do this. So it's probably no news that the Prickly Pear Margarita is simply a margarita with some prickly pear syrup or puree in it. But the version that I'm going to make today is slightly healthier because I was inspired by the Tommy's Margarita. Now, if you're familiar with the classic margarita, it is tequila, lime juice, and orange liqueur, and most of the times a little bit of a sweetener. But the Tommy's Margarita eliminates the orange liqueur and it puts in a little more tequila, but it augments that sweetness with agave fructose, which is low glycemic index, is a lot healthier. So inspired by the traditional classic Tommy's Margarita, our Prickly Pear Margarita that we're gonna make today is a Tommy's style with the prickly pear. So let's do this. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is chill my cocktail glass. Then I will add ice to my tin. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start with my tequila. I am using today a tequila called 818 Blanco. This tequila here is made with a mix of the agaves from the lowlands of Mexico, which are typically very mineral driven, and the highlands of Jalisco, which are typically a little bit more citrusy. But I find this tequila to have also some really nice vanilla caramel notes. So I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 ounces in the mixing glass. My next ingredient is going to be the lime, and I'm going to pick a nice shiny medium-sized lime. I'm gonna cut those 2 sides off just like that, and gonna give it a little cut right in the middle, and then this lime here will give me right about 1 ounce. So to the 2 ounces of tequila, I am going to go ahead and add 1 ounce of lime juice. All right. Now typically in a Tommy's Margarita, the proportions are 2-1-1. 2 ounces of tequila, 1 ounce of lime juice, and 1 ounce of agave syrup. What is agave syrup? It's equal parts of agave nectar and water. But in this case here, I'm gonna be adding the prickly pear, and so it's going to give it a little bit of sweetness itself. So rather than doing 2-1-1, I'm gonna do 2-1 3/4. Okay, so here goes 3/4 of my agave syrup. And next, I'm gonna use 1/4 ounce of prickly pear syrup. Now the prickly pear syrup that I'm using today is called Liquid Alchemist. I like it because it basically has 3 ingredients: prickly pear puree, cane sugar, and water. And there we go. Okay, so now this drink is actually ready to be shaken, but what I am going to do is just to give it a little more of a pizzazz and a little more, of course, of frothiness, I'm gonna frothen it up with some Aquafaba. Now, like I said, if you don't want to do that, if you don't like egg white, or if you don't like Aquafaba, which is a vegan version of egg white, then you can shake the drink and it is ready to go. Of course, I'm gonna show you how to make it with the Aquafaba. So, the proportions that the manufacturer of the Aquafaba likes to give us is 1 tablespoon of water, just like that. And then to that, 1/3 of a teaspoon of Aquafaba. So what is Aquafaba? In this case, it's just the liquid from the chickpeas, which has been turned into a powder, and it's gonna help emulsify. So once I put those together, I'm gonna just give this a little mix, just like that. And this proportion here is equal to 1 egg white. Okay, that's looking pretty good. We're gonna go ahead and pour this as well inside of our shaker. And then we're gonna give this a hard shake. Alrighty, you can see it's emulsified already from the shaker itself. And we are going to dump this ice. And there we go. And we're going to now strain this right over here in our glass, all the way up, just like that, making sure that the foam is on top so that it can float a beautiful garnish on it. These glasses here are not really easy to garnish, right? You put a lime wheel, they look too big. So this is going to allow me to actually float some flowers and some cute stuff on it. Speaking of flowers, I found this brand at the store. It's called the Herbalicious Beverage Kit, and it's full of fresh herbs, and I think it's genius. I just found it at my grocery store, and in it there's dill, there's lemongrass, there's mint, there's rosemary, there are edible flowers. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick in here on some things that I can float on top of this drink. I'll start with this little bit of dill right here. And then I've got a beautiful little orange edible flower right here, just like that. And then I love this yellow one right here. So I'm gonna add that just like that. And look how beautiful that is. Right there. All right, and there you have the Prickly Pear Margarita. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. This drink can be made on the rocks. Really, it would be the same process, but you would put it in a rocks glass over ice. And of course, it can be made without the Aquafaba, which of course would not give it this fluffy texture. It would give it a more bright pink color to it. And now, I'm ready to taste it. Okay, the best way to explain this drink, I'm getting the tequila notes, or it's a nice vanilla forward tequila flavor profile. I'm getting that nice bright lime flavor right in my mouth, balanced by that agave nectar or that agave syrup, which isn't dominant in the flavor. I'm not tasting it per se, but I'm noticing that it's there because of course it's balancing my cocktail. And then last but not least, just a hint of banana raspberry flavor, but I mean a just gentle hint on the palate, which is making this drink really delicious, and I really enjoyed it. And there you have it, the Prickly Pear Margarita, Tommy style, I should say. And now, if you did enjoy this episode, if you learned anything, and if you liked it, please go ahead and give us a like and a subscribe, and hit that bell, by the way. That way you get notified when more cocktails just like this will come out, and you can come back to Master Your Glass with me, Livio Lauro, where you get expert instruction for everyday consumption.